All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Amber Hassenflug, and this is the Beginner's Guide to Building an Online Presence for Your Small Business. And let me get to the right thing here. All right. I bet you're wondering who this is and why you should even listen to me, which is, of course, an excellent question. Again, my name is Amber Hassenflug, and I know that's a unique one. I'm married into it. It's one of those ones I get to spell for the rest of my life. And I am the owner and operator of Pacific Creative Studio in Port Angeles, Washington. I am of that fortunate generation. Oh, by the way, this is Phoebe, and she'll probably be in and out because she likes to sit on the back of my chair. I'm of that generation that grew up at the right time to have played outside till the streetlights came on. And I remember things like Saturday morning cartoons and the original Nintendo and dial-up modems. In fact, when I started building websites, it was on a dial-up modem. My dad was in advertising when I was growing up, and I sort of fell into marketing. I am a maven of marketing. I am the person that sits and watches commercials and talks about them, and my poor husband at least pretends to listen to me when I start analyzing how it all works. When the shutdown happened in 2020, I began to witness businesses closing their doors for good because they weren't getting customers anymore. And I was really baffled to see the divide between the businesses that were just thriving and the businesses that were closing. And the biggest difference was, of course, how they were able to transition to using the internet for their business. And I think it was quite a big eye-opener to people on how important the internet is for business and how to utilize it. So I had to give myself a sort of reality check that not everyone knew how to give themselves an online presence. And that's legitimately how and why I started Pacific Creative Studio. As provider businesses, you may be thinking that you don't need a website or social media. I got to move this bar out of the way here. Because you may not be selling anything online. So what's the point? Or maybe you don't think that your target market is online. Well, even if you're not selling anything directly through your website or social media, these platforms can still be hugely beneficial for your business. Your potential customers are scrolling through their social media feeds looking for services like yours. They're carrying a computer in their pocket, just waiting for your business to show up. An online presence can help you reach more customers. The yellow pages are beginning to go extinct. Much like the pager, we have found a more streamlined and immediate process to communicate and find the information that we want. The majority of the population is now online. You will be hard-pressed to find people who are not carrying the internet around in their pocket. And while it may be easy to see that the senior population aren't all online, the people who are advocating for them or will advocate for them, I can say that word, I promise, advocate for them in the near future are. So if you're only marketing your business offline, you're missing out on a huge potential customer base. Because according to a recent study, nearly 80% of consumers say they use the internet to research local businesses before making a purchase. And online spending has been increasing year over year. In fact, the projected growth over the next 5 years of online sales happened all at once in the last year due to the pandemic. So with an online presence, you can reach more potential customers and make it easy for them to find information about your business. And an online presence can make your business seem more credible. And I say seem because if you have spelling errors or lots of bad reviews, it will do quite the opposite for you. In today's digital world, consumers are increasingly skeptical of businesses that don't have an online presence. In fact, nearly 60% of consumers say they won't buy from a business unless they can find information about it online. Consumers have always done what they could to research before making a purchase. This is what made consumer reports and infomercials so powerful. People could see what a product would do and how it would help them alleviate a pain point. Now, with the internet, they have more control over what they're seeing. People are gathering research online before making purchase decisions. So if your business doesn't have a presence online, over half the consumer population will automatically rule you out. This means that an online presence can help your business seem more credible and trustworthy to potential customers. And of course, an online presence can help you build relationship with customers. And again, I say can because it's all about how you use it. An online presence isn't just about selling products and services. It's also about building relationships with your customers. Social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter give you a chance to connect with your customers on a personal level, which can create loyalty and repeat business. These days, people like to purchase from those that they feel connected with. Social media has been allowing consumers to build these connections with companies and brands. And of course, an online presence can help you stay competitive. In today's digital age, more and more businesses are going online. If you do not have an online presence, you'll be at a disadvantage against your competitors. An online presence is an essential part of doing business in the 21st century. So, why do you need a website or social media presence? Because by creating a website or social media account for your small business, you can reach more customers, build relationships, and stay competitive. So, are we ready to jump in? Got a few things to talk about. I just get a few nods. I can see you all on my screen here. Okay, all right. Today I'm going to be giving a lot of information, and I'm going to try and make it as simple as I can while still leaving time for a Q&A at the end. So make sure you write down your questions as we go through so you can ask at the end, because like I said, there's a lot of information here and I don't want you to forget your questions. So here's a brief outline of what we're going to go through today, which is how to choose the right social media platform for you, because yes, there are a lot to choose from. We're going to talk about how to set up a website and what at the very minimum you should say on it. We're going to talk about how to create valuable content for your visitors on social media and or to your website. And I'm also going to give you my top 5 secret marketing tips on what I do to help my customers grow online, including the biggest and best tip, which is how to get found on Google. So with so much to go through, I say we jump right in with how to choose the right platform for you. Does that sound okay? Yeah? All right. Well, social media is a powerful tool to reach new customers and grow your brand. It's hard not to hear people in passing discuss things they saw on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, right? I know you all know what I'm talking about. Did you see that meme? TikTok made me buy it, right? Those are common phrases these days. So with so many platforms to choose from, it can be difficult to know where to start. Which one do you choose? How many should you be on? Here are some things to consider when choosing the right social media platform for your business. Starting with, who is your target audience? This is one of the most important factors to consider when choosing a social media, because each platform has different demographics. So it's important to choose one that aligns with your target audience. Then you want to think about what kind of content you want to share. If you are a more visual business, like for example, a photographer or graphic designer, those companies will want to choose a platform that's more visual heavy, like Instagram or Pinterest. And then what are your goals? Before starting to use social media for your business, it's important to have a clear idea of what your goals are. Do you want to use it to drive traffic to your website? Do you want to increase brand awareness? Do you want to sell your products and services? Once you know your goals, you can choose a platform that will help you achieve that. All right, I'm going to give you a social media platform crash course, and I'm going to make this, again, as simple as possible without trying to overload you with information. And I promise not to give you a test at the end of this, but I do want to talk about social media and the different platforms because it is important for business. And some of the statistics about these platforms might surprise you. However, I want to let you know right now, you do not have to be on all of these platforms. And that's so important, I'm going to say it twice. You do not have to be on all of the platforms. I recommend you choose 1 or 2, 3 if you're very ambitious, but just knowing the 1 or 2 to select can be the key to getting your presence known. I just want to run some statistics of the platforms by you so you know what audiences are there and you can figure out where you probably want to put yourself so you're in front of who you want to be in front of. Also, keep in mind, any of these platforms have advertising options. So if you want to be seen by more people in these demographics, making a decision to put some of your advertising dollars into these platforms could be very helpful for you. All right, let's start with Facebook, right? The average person spends 58 minutes each day on Facebook. And around 7 in 10 US adults, about 69% of US adults, are using Facebook. Next is Instagram. The average time spent on Instagram every day is 30 minutes, and 62% of Instagram users are 18 to 34 years old, so a little on the younger side than Facebook. But what about Twitter? Well, most of Twitter's audience is 25 to 34 years old, and people who use Twitter mostly have a college degree or more. So if you're looking for a more sort of educated audience, Twitter's a great way to go. We also can't forget YouTube, because YouTube is the world's second most visited website with 22.8 billion monthly visits. 22.8 billion monthly visits. 81% of US adults are using YouTube. Does that statistic surprise everybody? Just a little bit? Maybe? Yeah. So what about TikTok? Well, about 138 million monthly active users are from the United States, and TikTok was the most downloaded app in 2020 with 850 million downloads. And I'm sure you've all heard about LinkedIn. It's a business-to-business platform, mostly used for networking and marketing to businesses. There are 61 million senior-level influencers and 65 million decision makers on LinkedIn. So if you're trying to get in with a business person, LinkedIn is a great platform for you. And who doesn't love a good Pinterest post, right? I'm not gonna lie, this statistic surprised me. 38% of Pinterest users are 50 to 64 years old. That is their highest demographic, is 50 to 64 years olds. And 89% of users on Pinterest are there for purchase inspiration, which means they're planning to make a purchase. So they're looking for the right product for themselves. And I do need to mention Snapchat, because the US has around 106 million users on Snapchat. 65% of United States 18 to 29-year-olds say they use Snapchat. So if you're looking for younger people, maybe like new caregivers, Snapchat might be a good place to go. Once you've considered all of these factors, you should have a good idea of which social media platform is right for you and your business. And if you're still not sure, you can try experimenting with a few different ones to see what works best for you, or you can just stick with the tried and true Facebook. All right, that was a lot, right? Hopefully you're all still with me and that was helpful. Was that helpful? Yeah, I'm getting a couple little nods there. Oh, Mary's giving me the clap emoji there. All right. So was there a big takeaway you got from that? If there was, I'd love you to put it in the chat box so that I can see it, because I love hearing what the big like aha moments were. And we're going to take a small excursion now, and we're going to talk about your website. All right, mainly setting up your website or setting up a blog. Now, this isn't all going to be like what you need to do to set one up. I'm actually going to talk about the stuff that should also be on your website, okay? So there's lots of things to consider when you're creating your website. I'm going to break it down into these steps, starting with your domain name, your hosting, what goes on your website, and how to get found on search engines. Or the easier way to explain it is, if your website were a brick and mortar store downtown, your store address would be your domain name. The location of your business would be your hosting. The store itself is what goes on your website. And then your listing in the yellow pages would be getting found on search engines. Okay. So your domain name is actually a very important part of your website. It's the address that people will go to when they're trying to find your website. It's normally something like yourbusinessname.com. And sometimes you can be very advanced and have like yourcitiesbusinesstype.com, like bremertonassistedliving.com. That was a really popular tool for people trying to get to the top of the search on Google, but Google has stopped giving priority to websites like that in favor of better content on the website. So don't be worried if you can't get a domain like that, but there is an important thing to consider about the domain, which is you want it to be simple and easy to remember so potential customers are not going, what was that website again? Okay, you want it to reflect your business name, or at the very least your location. You can purchase domain names a lot of places. I personally have found Namecheap to be my favorite, but GoDaddy is a very popular option, as well as things like domain.com, HostGator, Bluehost. There's a lot of domain purchase websites out there. But let's do a really brief touch on hosting, because hosting is important. Hosting is where your website sits, where it lives. You can own it. Maybe you purchased hosting when you purchased your domain name, or maybe somebody else owns it. My company hosts websites on our own private server, for example, but if you're using a server like Wix or Shopify, they handle the hosting for you, so you don't have to worry about where's my website going to live. But one really important thing to remember, have you ever clicked over to a website only to have it give you a warning that it's not secure? Right? The big white screen says, this website is not secure. Turn back now. Danger, Will Robinson. That person did not have a security certificate, also known as an SSL certificate. You need to make sure your hosting includes a security certificate. Google will not list your website if you do not have it installed, and it ensures that the data on your website stays secure. So it's an incredibly important thing. Do not skip out on your SSL, okay? All right, so you're building your website, or maybe you're assessing your current website. What the heck do you even put on your website? Well, there are 5 main things that you should have on your landing page. Your landing page is the main page of your website that people land on when they get there. The things you need to have are a header, a headline and a subheadline, a call to action, social proof, and your products or services. I'm going to go into each of these things here really quick without trying to overwhelm you. Starting with the header. This is what sits on the top of every page of your website. It should contain your business name or logo, an easy to read menu of around 5 basic things, and your contact information, including your phone number and your social media links. More than 5 menu items can be overwhelming for many users. You should have who you are, what you do, how to get your products or services, how to find you or contact you, and then some form of why it should matter to them. Case studies, an informational blog, a photo gallery, things of that nature. Now, your web page may not always be able to be limited to 5 things, but that's the general amount that's recommended. You also want the ways people can connect with you at the top of every page, hence your phone number and social media links. All right. So the first thing to appear under your header should be a headline and a subheadline. This is the introduction of your business to the customer. So you should use your clear and unique value proposition that grabs your ideal customer's attention, which is what should be what the customer is there for from the customer's perspective. Then the subheadline goes underneath it, and it should be keyword-rich information about your company or information to help your headline, or to support your headline, excuse me. An example for a caregiving company might be, as a headline, let them stay where they're comfortable. And then the subheadline might be, our caregivers can help them in their own home. I want to speak to the headline and subheadline because there are 2 very hard truths about the first lines of your website. And I'm going to be very straightforward and honest here because these are big mistakes I see on a lot of websites. When your customer lands on your website, they want to know what's in it for them. You need to give them the reason, because in today's day and age, a customer will not care about your business until you give them a reason to. So you should start with a headline that speaks to them and about them. So try to avoid things like we, our, me, my, because it's as much as it's a website about your business, people are there to learn what's in it for them. Does that make sense? Can I get some nods up and down to make sure you guys are okay? It's one of those things that sounds really mean, but it's a hard truth about marketing in general. All right. So you also need to tell them what you want them to do. So you need to have what's called a call to action, or a CTA. Do you want them to schedule a tour? Do you want to have them call for an in-home care assessment? Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to email you? Do you want them to sign up for your newsletter? You actually need to tell them what actions you want them to take, and it should be clear and concise. You need to give them directions and put it near the top and also near the bottom of your main page of your website. Next is social proof, and this is really, really important as well. If you were to go to Amazon and there are 2 products for sale that look exactly the same, one is $12 and one is $11.50, but the $12 one has over 2,000 positive reviews and the $11.50 one has, say, 20, which one seems more appealing to you? Probably the one with more reviews, right? We care about what experiences other people have had. When we watch an infomercial about an exercise program, wouldn't you be skeptical if they didn't talk about anyone's results? If you went to a new hairdresser, wouldn't you want to see what other people's haircuts look like? The same thing applies to your business. The social proof could be customer testimonials you've gathered on Google. They could be case studies about positive results you've created for customers. Social proof is the selling point many people are looking for. And if you don't have it on your main landing page of your website, you are missing out on an opportunity to showcase how fabulous you are. They are bragging rights, and you should absolutely use them. All right. Last, you should, of course, talk about what you do. This is a chance to use features and benefits of your products and services. And it's important to use keywords here. When people are looking for services like yours, they're more likely using industry keywords rather than your business name. So putting these keywords that people are searching for will help you show up in search results, which then segues into getting listed on search engines, right? People are not necessarily going to Google and typing in your business name to find your website. Chances are when you need to come up is when people are looking for services like yours. Assisted living facilities in Bremerton, caregivers near me, senior living in Paulsboro. Your services should be using clear languages that people not in your industry understand. They will not understand necessarily if you talk about ADLs and DNRs. They will understand day-to-day activities and care plan options. So unless, of course, you're speaking to the service providers themselves, then that language is helpful and will target the more knowledgeable people. All right. How's everybody doing? Y'all still with me? Was that helpful? Did anyone spot something that might be missing from their website? If there were some takeaways, again, I would love to see those in the chat box as well, because it helps me know what people need to know about these things that maybe they didn't know before. Okay, we're going to go a step deeper and talk about what you should put in a blog on your website or what you should talk about on your social media. Does that sound okay? Okay, some nods. Yeah? All right. So the ultimate goal when creating content when creating content is that you create value for your viewers and your followers. You have a platform now and the world is your oyster, right? Well, sort of. Social media and your website are not the field of dreams, because it's not if you build it, they will come. Because as we said before, no one will care about your business until you give them a reason to. So you have to create content that your followers and visitors want. Okay, I'm going to take a guess and say you're thinking, well, shoot, how do you do that, right? I'm not a mind reader. I just know this is sometimes the hardest part about online marketing. So let's talk about the two things you can do to build content that's valuable to your followers. Start by answering their questions. What sort of questions are people always asking? I know you have a list in your brain. If I had $1 for every time someone asked me about, well, that thing, what is that thing? Answer those questions. You can also think about the reasons people are seeking out your business. What do I do with mom's house? How do I get help for my dad? Is it difficult to get a caregiver for both of my parents? As a bonus, if you're picking the questions people are typing into Google, your content may pop up. Facebook, YouTube, and your blog are all possibilities of coming up in the Google search results. You can also talk about your business services, excuse me. But again, you have to make it about them. So be sure you're taking care of yourself too. Don't feel like you have to rush home from the grocery store because you're worried about mom. Call us and ask about our caregiving options. You deserve a break too. Or you can overcome objections like, won't my mom be bored at an assisted living facility? Our residents love it here. Here's Joe enjoying some time out in the garden. Or today's trip to the festival downtown was so much fun. And then show behind the scenes, because people love that stuff. Here's our staff enjoying some cake and fun for one of our residents' birthdays. Okay, you guys getting this? Does this make sense? Yeah, okay, getting some nods there. All right, great. Let's now get into the really, really good stuff. The best stuff, which is my 5 top secret tips to a great online presence. Before I go to the next slide, Can you guys type in the chat box, how long do you have to get the attention of a potential customer on any website or in an advertisement? Do you guys know how long you have? I just want to see, like, do you guys, just a guess? 3 seconds, just a few seconds, 10 seconds, 3 seconds, 6 seconds, less than a bull ride. You guys, look at you guys go. Yeah, you know, it's actually 7 seconds. You have 7 seconds to get their attention and tell them why they should care. And this is why the headline of your website needs to address these things. Okay, so I don't think this information surprised you. You guys all seem to know the answer to that, so that's good. All right, then again, here's the biggest thing. People want to know what's in it for them. Hands down, the biggest mistake people make in their marketing. As much as your marketing is about your business, it's about what's in it for the customer. And online is the place that this shows the most. People care what's in it for them, right? One of my favorite examples of this comes from Dale Carnegie, who talks about if your grandma said, hey, you're in the paper, and you went to go pick it up, you would skip the front page, the next page, the next page. You're going to go directly to the page where your picture is. You're going to find the picture. If anybody else is in the picture with you, you're going to ignore them and look at you and make sure you're represented correctly. Then the next thing you're going to do is make sure they spelled your name right. You're going to ignore everything else in that newspaper until you make sure that you're represented. People care what's in it for them. Yep. The next big secret is what I call a barrier to entry. Okay, it is much easier, or a low barrier of entry, to get people to click on a button and put in their email address for a free download than it is to convince them to hop onto a phone call or pay you a couple of $1,000s online. Most people are online because they're trying to get all the information they can on their own until they have to talk to a person. People are afraid of being sold to and duped and ripped off. Not that I'm saying any of you are like that, because I don't believe that you are, but people are afraid that you are. So if they can get most of the information they can from your website and they feel like they're better connected with you, you have a better chance of getting them to take that extra step, that higher barrier of entry, like calling you on the phone. Okay, does that make sense? That one's kind of a little more complicated, but it's an important one. All right, let's talk about batch creation. Batch creation is a lifesaver. Batch creation is where you create a bunch of content all at once and then slowly drip it out, okay? If you use a content scheduler, and there are a lot of them out there, in fact, Facebook has one embedded in their business tools, you can schedule out your content for a week or a month at a time. You can create as much as you want in advance. Just be sure that what you're posting is current and relevant, or you will lose your audience quickly. And there is a rumor out there saying that using a content scheduler reduces engagement. That is not true. It is just a rumor. The truth is that the algorithms like it when you post, period. So if you're putting content on their site, they're happy, no matter how you're doing it, okay? Last but not least, let's go over the best way to get found on Google, because that's what everybody really wants, right? To be found on Google. All right, first thing you can do is, as we talked about before, making sure that you're using keywords people are probably searching for in your website title, your subheadline, and also in blog posts. The next thing you need to do is make sure you have a Google business page. It is free, it is easy to set up, and it will help you show up in searches. Now, just so you know, I have a free guide that gives you the step-by-step instructions on how to set up your Google business page, which also, by the way, has been called a Google My Business page, but they're in the process of switching it over. If you hover the camera of your cell phone over this QR code, it will take you to the page. You can get my guide. You can also visit pacificcreativestudio.com/Google-guide and let me know which email address I should send it to. After you request the guide, it will take you to a page where you can request a one-on-one marketing strategy session with me. It's free, and we can figure out the best steps and strategies you can take right now to increase your online visibility. Okay, just my special little offer for you guys here. And that's it. Thank you all for sticking with me. I know it was a lot of information, and this is my contact information in case you have any additional questions or inquiries that we can't get into in the Q&A, but I'm ready to open it up.
So as you were going through all of this, I was making some handwritten notes and some mental notes because I built the Compass and Clock website and I maintain it. I have full control over it and all the social media and everything too. So I was thinking I had to be on every platform. And the one that I struggle with that I am not the best at is Instagram. So sitting down and figuring out, based on the statistics, what are the best fit for Compass and Clock, I need to reevaluate and make sure that I am on the right ones, for my company. Like I definitely use Facebook and I use YouTube, and I think those are right for Compass and Clock, but am I missing something like Pinterest for instance? So, and I think also my home page hits the buttons on what you said, but I also feel that maybe it's too cluttered. And I know when I go to a website, I like to see their phone number at the top of the page, and I don't have my phone number at the top of the page. My phone number and the icons for the social media are at the bottom of the page, and you're saying they should be at the header too.
Absolutely, because that's the first thing people see. And so if that's what they're looking for, the sooner they can find it, the happier they are. Yeah.
Just a question. So Facebook is probably Martha and Mary's biggest form of social media. We have a Twitter account that doesn't do anything. We have an Instagram that's connected to the Facebook page.
They're both owned by the same company. Instagram and Facebook are owned by Meta. So
what do you tell people when, because people will say, oh, Facebook's going out, nobody uses it. And then I see this kind of data and I'm like, and I argue the point all the time. And, so I feel a little validated.
Right. So here's the thing with Facebook, it's really created to help people stay connected with their friends and loved ones. You don't usually use apps like TikTok and Instagram and Twitter to stay connected. People aren't really sharing photos of their kids and stuff. They're showing, Instagram is sort of like the pretend life. Like they're showing their model like pictures and they're showing their beautiful sunset pictures and their food pictures. But Facebook is a little bit, for lack of better terminology, a little bit on the dirtier side. Like people are just sharing their memes, sharing their recipes, sharing their kids and their lives. And, we lost my grandma today. Those are the things that you find on Facebook. You don't find those on the other platforms. So Facebook is still very much a place where people go to feel connected. Yeah.
And YouTube, I know, is a place where people go for answers.
Yep.
How do you change the oil in a BMW? How do you jump a car? How do you, I can't get the cap off of this. How do you,
right.
I have learned from my husband, you need an answer to something, go to YouTube. It'll help you solve that problem.
It is the second most visited website in the world, period. People are consuming the number was, I can't remember the number now. It was a large amount. Like the average person is consuming 2 hours of content every day on YouTube. 2 hours that's 2 hours that you have to find, to be connected to your potential customers.
And TikTok is 82 minutes or something like that, or it was last time we talked.
Yeah, TikTok has completely disrupted how the social media plans that every social media company had for themselves. Like Facebook was starting to transition to a place where if you as a business wanted your post to be seen, you almost always had to boost it. But now, because TikTok has created this, these bite-sized content and shown how much people like it, that's where they introduced Reels. And YouTube has created Shorts. And the cool thing about Reels and Shorts is that you will see videos from people you don't necessarily follow. So if you're not creating things like Reels or YouTube Shorts, you're missing out on a really big chunk of ability to be able to reach people that are not currently following you. Because if you're posting things just on your business page, the only people that are going to see that are people who seek out your page or already are following your page. Whereas if you are posting to Reels, you will start showing up in people's feeds that may not already be following you.
There's a question on the chat from John Platt. about the YouTube number, the 2 hours. Does that
Mhm.
include YouTube TV?
It's not, oh, not everybody is subscribed to YouTube TV. And really, YouTube TV is kind of put in a place so people could watch videos without the ads. Although it does have like some channel components to it. But the reality is that outside of YouTube TV, on average, the average user who does not subscribe, like subscribe to YouTube, is consuming 2 hours of content daily. Yeah.
And in the current issue of Compass and Clock that's out there,
Mhm.
there's an article that Amber wrote about TikTok,
Mhm.
because TikTok isn't just about
It's not just dancing and lip sync.
videos with people dancing. My husband is an avid TikTok addict. He probably does 82 minutes a day, and he gets invaluable information from there.
Yeah.
He follows certain people as it pertains to investments. So,
Yep. And a lot of people are repurposing their TikTok. So remember I talked about batch content creation? They will take once you post a video to TikTok, it automatically downloads to your phone. Then you can take that video and upload it as a reel on Instagram or Facebook. That's a really common practice.
I'm going to stop the recording at the moment.
Yeah.
Thank you for an awesome presentation. I'm going to share this with others.
I hope it